So yesterday, what we have seen is that Agile is nothing but a mindset, the framework, which is combination of 16 things. That is 4 core values and 12 principles. So those 12 principles is what we will be deep diving in today and going to look forward. So I want this to be more interactive in a way. If you are having any queries along the way, you can just pause me and you can ask me then and there. And this figure is because we'll be using a stickies in many Scrum boards or Scrum wall, which you will be seeing practically in office, and they are going to put it on the board. So something like that you are going to see. So let's talk about 12 principles. If we follow this 12 principles, which means we are going to follow Agile along with the 4 core values which we have seen yesterday. So someone can quickly recap what are the 4 Agile manifesto. That is individuals and interaction over process and tools, working software over comprehensive document, and customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. And we had this 5 Scrum values, that was commitment, courage, focus, openness, and respect. So we'll be talking around these things only. Now here, the first principle is early delivery of the product. As we have seen in the previous software development life cycle, the delivery of the product, the end product, will take more time. But here, when it is in the iterative model, the customer can see, if the project itself is halfway, you will be getting a feeling, okay, 30-40% of the product I'm holding, or I'm having a hold of that, I can see it more faster delivery. Second thing is adapt to change. As the example I have given you for the guided missile, after every sprint, we will be having freedom to adjust and adapt ourselves according to the requirement and the priorities. Because now everything is changing, the technologies are changing, competitors are changing, organizations are changing, and customers, clients, and consumers are changing. Everything is changing rapidly, and now in this rapid change, if we are not adapting ourselves, we are going to lag. That is why adapt to change is one of the principles of Agile. And then third is frequent delivery. This frequent delivery we used to get by sprinting, which means after every sprint we will deliver something which is shippable. We will deliver something which is working software to the product owner, and in turn product owner is delivering to the customer only. And the fourth is business and developer cooperation. So the business, the customer and developer both are going to cooperate, and we have seen that they are not going to negotiate, but it's more like of a cooperation and collaboration which used to happens. And then here in this team, we'll be having a motivated individual team members. So team members will be highly motivated in this, and we are going to have a face-to-face interaction with everyone among the teams, with product owner, with Scrum Master. And when we say product owner, he is representative of customer only. And the focus is on the working software rather than the documentations or some prototype and all these things. So we need working software, and then we maintain a constant pace. When we say constant pace, it is our team velocity is defined. How we are going to calculate team velocity, that again we'll see later, but at this moment it is average of last 5 or 6 sprint, average of the story points which the entire Scrum team is delivering. So the product owner is very much aware on the basis of team velocity, what is the pace of delivery of the Scrum team, how many stories or story points we can take into the upcoming sprint. So, and technical brilliance is another principle of Agile. Simplicity will make everything as simple, nothing from the process perspective, and from all the things from a development perspective, also will try to keep everything as simple. So, simplicity is one thing, and then team is self-organizing team. When we say self-organizing team, we don't have any project manager. Just imagine, is it possible to deliver any project without project manager? No. But in the field of Scrum development, you won't be having any external project manager who is going to monitor and control the project. Is the team, is each and every individual who is going to take responsibility for the success of entire sprint. And then regular reflection and adjustment, as I said, on regular basis we are going to get a feedback in the sprint demo, and then accordingly we are going to decide what are the things which is going to spill over and going to rework again, or we need to adjust. So all these things are the 12 principles in detail. If you see, our highest priority in Agile is to satisfy customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. When we say this, anyway, the entire industry wants to satisfy customer, whether it is a marketing, product, or services. But when you are having a huge gap between a customer communication, and after 3 months, 6 months, or say after a year, when you are communicating with the customer with the specific product which they ordered, or which they agreed upon for development, it's very difficult to accept the change request that time. But here you will be seeing we are going to adopt very early and are going to do a continuous delivery with very high quality working software. Means after every sprint, whatever we will be delivering, it will be working. Secondly, we are going to welcome all the change requirement, even in the late development. Now, say suppose if the sprint 22 is also going on, still at sprint 22 we can accept the change requirement. How? By harnessing the agile process, so that customer himself can get a competitive advantage. Why competitive advantage is necessary for customer? Because when a customer is working on something, he would be needing a solution or a product for his organization, and and again it depends on how much market share, how much return on investment, and the profitability that customer is having, and how he is positioning himself in the marketplace. So he should get that competitive advantage because of the product which we will be serving after implementing the agile processes. So all these things he will be getting. And here there is a company in China, like with the name Tenon. So copy first is their kind of slogan. You can see there is a huge trend in the companies with the mobile development and all. So if any competitor is there, if he is having some feature, they will just copy paste. They will copy paste and put, and the delivery will be so fast that they won't wait even for a week. Like they won't wait for like traditionally what I have seen in some organization is you will be having 6 sprints or 8 sprint. After 6 sprints means almost after three, if the sprint length is of 2 weeks, after 3 months you are pushing one release to the production. But those companies, they won't wait for 3 months of production. They will be having CI/CD in place, and within a week, and sometimes on daily basis, few organizations are there, they will be running a sprint length of just 1 day, and they will be pushing the changes, so that if there is any new feature coming, they are having that thing first. So that is how we can give the competitive advantage to the customer. And then our focus will be to deliver working software frequently. As we say suppose if the sprint length is 2 week, and after every sprint we are pushing it into the production, suppose. So after every 2 weeks, customer can see the updates in their live application or site or anything what they are having. Apart from the test environment or the pre-prod environment which they will be having, if we are pushing, so again, the frequency is more and everything is working whatever we deliver. From a couple of weeks to months with a preference of shorter time scale. So that is what we'll do. And business people and developers must work together throughout the project on daily basis. Why we say daily basis? Because on daily basis we'll be having a scrum call or a stand up. In the stand up, apart from Scrum Master and dev team members, you will be having a product owner who will be representative again for a business or business people. So if there is any feedback on any single day, the product owner is not going to wait for the completion of the sprint when we are going to give a sprint review or a demo for specific stories. Then and there, if we are having some clarification after stand up, we can have a sync up call, and we can get those clarification, prioritization, reprioritization, everything can be done. So that is one of the thing. And building projects around motivated individuals, we are going to give them the environment support they need, and we will trust them so that no they can get their job done. This is very important for someone to own the responsibility. When that sense of responsibility comes for every individual, because no one is around to monitor and track. It's us who on daily basis logging our story points, which we will complete over any tool, say suppose Jira, so that the burn down chart is going to be generated, or burn up chart is going to be generated. Burn down, burn up charts we will be seeing later, but it's individual who is responsible and who is motivated enough for the delivery of the sprint. And the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. So in Agile, we don't believe in sending very long mails or status update or something like that, or tracker this and that. No, it's on the Scrum call. When you are there face to face, you interact, and the things are clear then and there. In the demo also, the product owner is there, the dev team is giving the demo, and then and there itself, the product owner will say go or no go. If he says go, it will go. If he says no go, then again it will move to in progress for development because of the defect or feature which he or she don't like or don't want. So face to face interaction is more, and there we will give more weightage. And then as we say is the working software, always working software, working software, working software. You will see this term everywhere. That is the primary measure of progress. We don't.
Sagar, can I interrupt you here?
Sure.
Uh, can you please go back to first uh, slide
Okay.
on Agile principles? I mean, I had a question around the second principle where you says welcome changing requirement, right?
Yes.
So let's say suppose you got a change requirement which is going to affect a sprint goal, right? So how are we going to deal with that kind of changing requirement in Agile?
Okay. So the question is, within a sprint, you got something which is going to impact sprint goal, correct?
Correct.
So typically what happens is when we do sprint planning, at the time of sprint planning, so we are having a sprint planning meeting 1 and meeting 2. So in the sprint planning meeting one itself, we'll be doing a backlog grooming. So after backlog grooming, after product backlog grooming, depending on the team's velocity and capacity, the product owner is going to pick up the prioritize uh, stories which has to come into the sprint backlog. Now, once sprint backlog is freezed, within that sprint length, say suppose if the sprint length is of 2 weeks, for that 2 weeks, even product owner, from a process perspective, we see he or she cannot uh, pull anything new from the existing product backlog, which means we are saying for this one specific sprint, which is of 1 week or 2 week, we will be focusing only what we have decided at the time of sprint planning. If there is anything which needs to incorporate it in the ongoing sprint, they need to wait. So dev team can always object, or the scrum master along with him, they can always go back to the product owner and they can say, hey, at the starting of the sprint, we have not decided that. And if this thing is coming in between the sprint, we are not going to take it. So at that moment, the product owner can decide whether he want to cancel the ongoing sprint and start new sprint. Because when we say we are very much adaptive, we will adjust, and we are very more agile, uh, which means we are agile and we are adaptive after every sprint. So we are having a time for one sprint to start. Now consider a situation where you got something which is kind of a hot fix, a production hot fix, and that is something which cannot wait for next sprint to start, because next sprint is going to start, say, after 4 days, after 4 working days. Now in this specific situation, product owner is going to come to the scrum team along with the scrum master, and the product owner is going to say, hey, you know there is something which comes on very high priority, and I want to put that into the ongoing sprint backlog. So depending on the sprint capacity, the resource capacity which we had, and for that particular sprint, if we targeted to take, say suppose 62 story points, so then and there, the team is going to do a planning poker. They are going to do the story estimation, and if the weight of that story is, say suppose 5, so 5 story point, now product owner wants to pull inside the sprint. So the stories which are of lowest priority, say suppose there are 2 story with 2 story point and 3 story point, so those 2 story point, 3 story points can go and sit into the next sprint bucket, or one specific story which is having 5 story points, we are going to barter it with that. Because what we are committing to the customer is, we are committing a constant pace of delivery, constant velocity. So that is how within a sprint, this is one uh, uh, on the basis of mutual understanding between product owner and the scrum master and the dev team member, is how we can do. But ideally, if I talk about ideally, we should not entertain anything within the sprint. But yeah, mainly into the sprint development, whenever it is going on, we'll see, unless and until something which is P0, we won't entertain. So I hope I answered your query, Lakshmi.
Yes. Only thing I just want to understand, even late in development, in the sense you're talking about overall the project, or is it part of a sprint?
We are saying overall development of the product, which is divided into multiple sprint. So now say suppose if your sprint length is of 2 weeks and you are on the day number 8, okay, you're on the day number 8, and in the day number 8, if something is coming in the first week of the sprint, still the team is having capability where they can barter some of the stories or epic from the product backlog. But now you are on the eighth or ninth day of the sprint where we will be seeing, we'll be having many stories which needs QA verification and validation. And majority of this is a trend which has been observed, like first week of the sprint is majorly into the development, design development, analysis and all, and the completion comes closer to the 8th and 9th day. Now what is happening in the 8th and 9th day, you are completing many stories, and then you are getting a review comments, you are getting a review, and the peer members are doing a testing, and from that testing you are getting, say suppose, regression bug or something. So someone has to work on that also, and the cycle, the speed will be fast in the last two days of the sprint. That has been observed. Now in the last 2 days of the sprint, if product owner is saying, I want this specific stories to pull into the current sprint, which means when the product owner is saying like that, it's very definite. Like when the team is giving estimation and the, say suppose, story point is coming as 5 or 8, which means it is going to take some more days, maybe 3 or 4 working days from a team member, that specific story is going to definitely spill over. And our objective as a dev team will be to have successful sprint completion. When I say successful sprint completion, which means if we decided, okay, 85% is our sprint success benchmark, then at least 85% of the story should be accepted by the product owner. Now this specific story which is coming at very late into the within the sprint, then definitely that is going to spill over. So we won't encourage that. And when such thing happens, say suppose sometime, then you will be having a retro call, sprint retrospective. So in the retro call, we are going to have a 3 column which we are going to see later. What didn't went well. So as a team member, we can go and no put our cards that, okay, this specific thing didn't went well. We got one specific story which got pulled in between the sprint in the 8th or 9th day, and because of that it got spill over to the next sprint. And maybe because of that we don't have 85% completion, the completion rate is 83, and when it is 83 or 84% completion also, we'll say the entire sprint got failed. So it's like the cricket game only. It's not like one batsman hit a century and the team wins. No, it's performance of every individual which contributes, and the total score should be more than the score of opponent team, and that's how the entire team wins or entire teams fails. So as a Scrum team, our objective will be to have a successful sprint completion. So that time we will resist for sprinting. But when we say even late in the development, the meaning of this is even say suppose the project duration from the initial estimation is somewhere around 1.5 year or 2 years, and now already it's 4 quarter or 5 quarter which is passed, and we had many active development. Almost 80% of the business rules which is there in the product backlog is achieved, and still there is some change requirement which came from the original design or something like that also. So team will be no adaptive enough to welcome those change requirement with proper planning and estimate. So there are different estimate things which we will do. Those things also we will be seeing in the upcoming slide. So hope Lakshmi is clear. We'll move forward.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate asking the queries like this. I will encourage all of you to ask queries similarly. Fine. So we are again seeing those principles. So working software is the primary measure of our progress. Uh, we won't bother on many other matrices which typical project managers or project management used to do. But if the software is working, that is our measure. And now, eighth one is agile process promotes sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and the users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely, which means we are here talking about team velocity. So, and that's why velocity is the average of last 5 sprint or 6 sprint. So in one sprint, say suppose team is able to deliver 60 story point. In second sprint, it is 75. In other sprint, say suppose if it is again 50. So average will come. So when you will do capacity planning for the next sprint, that time you would be knowing, hey, this is our um, average velocity, and accordingly we can take that. And team will also intend to get those stories completed within the sprint. And simplicity is mainly for maximizing the amount of work, that is mainly the art of maximizing the amount of work which has uh, to be done. Which means here we say it doesn't matter how many hours we will put in work, but what matters is how many work you put in hours. So that is the thing which will keep it here. The best architect's requirement and design emerges from self-organizing team. And that's why we will be having a peer review at every level. It's not peer review when we'll do coding. We'll be having peer review when we'll do designing. We'll get design review from the team. Again, we are going to change the design. We will do review when we are doing analysis. So once analysis is done and I'm going to start with the epic, I will review with my team. Okay, this is my understanding. Then the wireframes has to be developed. Wireframes got developed, or class flow diagrams or something. When it comes, again we will review with the team, and each and every team members are going to be complementary to each other. And finally, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more efficient than uh, uh, then tunes and adjust in behavior accordingly. So our entire objective will be to become more mature Scrum team. When I say mature, maturity comes when you do more sprinting. And if we have to fail, so in Agile, we say fail fast. So instead of failing in the 20th or 25th sprint, do the retrospective and see what didn't went well. Fail fast. Failing fast is good or failing later is good. So failing initial phase is good. That's why shifting quality to the left is something which we emphasize, that if there is any bug, that should come uh, earlier in the development stage rather than in the later stage where entire design has to be changed. So it is very important for a Scrum team to evolve. And the best example is we'll be seeing when we are going to learn how we will do story pointing. So your base story point for the team uh, who is very new will be way different than the team who is mature. And you cannot compare story pointing of one Scrum team to another Scrum team. So all these things also we are going to see. Later, moving to the roles. So we have mainly three roles, that is a developer or a dev team or a Scrum team. It's one and the same thing. So don't get confused with the term developer as okay, he's a developer or a QA or a tester or a business analyst or UI developer, UX developer, backend developer. No, there is no categorization like that. When we say developer, which means it's just it comprises of every one, and they will be more like a SWAT team. In the SWAT team, if you see, you'll be having a shooter, a sniper. You'll be having a different people with different expertise in a SWAT commando team. Likewise, in this team, you will be having everyone. someone who is a kind of a full stack developer, UI specialist, backend specialist, or specialist into the automation or functional testing, automation testing, something like that. So you will be having combination of everything in this development team, and this development team will be self-organizing, which means it's the development team who is responsible for the delivery, and development team is directly interacting with the product owner. Okay, what Scrum Master will do, we'll see later. And then it is cross-functional team, very important. It is cross-functional team. It's not like everyone is UI developer in a team, and this is UI team or a QA team or business analyst team, something like that, or a DevOps team. No, it's cross-functional team, which means all the team members, when it comes together, they will be having a skill set which is important to complete the work. And this developer, they will be responsible for quality and the design of the product. So the core responsibility lies with them in terms of quality. When we say quality at designing, in understanding if there is any requirement gaps, to analyze that uh, with terms of designing the product, and then quality into the coding, into the performance testing, into the security of the product which is being developed. On all the aspect, uh, the developers are going to be responsible for that. And ideally, what we say is this: the team should be co-located. And now, due to pandemic and due to the COVID, now everyone is working from home, but still we come to one place over Zoom platform or Teams or many other video and the screen sharing platform where we comes. So they says that ideally we should be co-located and fully allocated to the projects. These two things are very important, which means in Scrum we don't encourage shared resources, which means uh, if one specific team member is working, he will be allocated to one single product or a project. He's not going to work on two or three different projects, because if he is going to work into two different projects, which means all the Scrum ceremonies he is going to attend twice. If it is three projects, which means three different stand up, three different backlog grooming and all this. So Agile won't recommend or promote to have a shared among multiple projects. So fully allocated to one single project. And when we say it is co-located, some mainly where we are having a team size, ideal team size is in between 4 to 6 or 9, 6 plus 3 sometimes they says. And if you have, in case big team, say suppose you are having 18 team members or 20 team members, and they are not co-located, which means okay, you are having one development center, say suppose in Bangalore, and other development center is in Hyderabad, and maybe one more development center in Pune. So you will be having a uh, different sub scrum team within a scrum team. That time you will be having, you won't be having, because when we say stand up, so you are coming to one room and doing the stand up, or when we say stand up, the team is sitting around co-located, they are just standing up, and then and there itself they are saying everything, finishing everything in just 10-15 minutes. That is the objective. And now when the stand up is going to happen with more number of team size, you will be having a scrum on scrum. So there will be three different Scrum Master who will be discussing on behalf of their teams or something like that. It happens Scrum on Scrum kind of thing. So that is how we usually say the team should be co-located, and the ideal team size is 6 plus minus 3. That is what we will say. Means in between 3 to 9 is the team size, ideal team size. If it is more than 9, it's not balanced. If it is less than 3 also, that's not balanced team. And who owns the sprint backlog? So Developer only owns and manages the sprint backlog. It's not product owner who is owning it. Product owner is owning the product backlog. And from product backlog, product owner is creating a sprint backlog when we are having a sprint planning. And when sprint backlog is created, it's developer who is managing, but still the prioritization is going to be done by product owner only. When we say managing, which means developer or the dev team is responsible for completing entire stories within that sprint on time. And all the dev team members should participate in all the Scrum events. So in the first uh, slides when I have shown you, we don't have many Scrum events. So one of the Scrum events on daily basis is like your Scrum call or a daily stand-up call. And then you will be having a backlog grooming call sometimes. And sprint planning will be there, sprint demo will be there, and sprint retrospective. So this 4-5 ceremonies are there. This 4-5 Scrum events are there. So this developer, this dev team is going to participate in all the Scrum events without missing anything. Means why? Because sprint demo usually will be at the end of the sprint, or whenever the stories are ready. That time you may have no once or twice in a week or so, depending on how big the team is and what is the velocity of the team and how frequently we are delivering the stories. And the sprint retro is, that is once in a sprint you will be having, and sprint planning also once in a sprint you will be having at the starting of the sprint. So this developer should participate on every Scrum events. Secondly, uh, this developers, the dev team is going to help product owner in backlog refinement. We'll see in detail what is backlog refinement and the estimate on the items on the product backlog. So when we will be doing a t-shirt sizing or some planning, product owner, when he has or she has to do that time, those inputs dev team members are going to give, because from a functionality and the business perspective, a product owner will be knowing everything, but from a technical implementation and ET and the timeline perspective, how much time and effort that particular story is going to take, uh, he will be the product owner would be needing those insight, and that comes only from a dev team, and those calls will be called as a discovery session, apart from the backlog grooming calls. So this is how typically the developers will be there. And then we will be having a huge roles for a Scrum Master. Maybe one or two slides I am going to cover today, and then remaining will be doing later. So some of the misconception about Scrum Master. So first misconception is Scrum Master is not a Scrum police, which means he's not for policing every time, seeing, hey, what is going wrong, what is going right, and he's monitoring and guiding and everything. He's not manager. Okay, so one misconception is he is not police. Second, he is not superhero. Means, yeah, he will be responsible for clearing the roadblocks um, or impediments, but Scrum Master, very important thing I am telling you is Scrum Master can be technical or non-technical person. Okay, it's not always that Scrum Master will be always technical. It can be not, he can be non-technical guy also. And within a Scrum team, within a development team, in any specific sprint, someone can nominate himself or herself, or the team can nominate them to become a Scrum Master. So when he or she becomes Scrum Master, that time that Scrum Master is a technical Scrum Master. So obviously he is not superhero. He does not subscribe on the things. He is not a secretary. He is not a coffee clerk, just managing and giving everything. He is not chairman to give order. Again, he is not an admin, and definitely he's not team's boss. So we do not want to worry about Scrum Master that okay he is bossing and doing, because we have seen in the previous slide that this dev team is, they themselves is self-organizing. When you are self-organizing, you don't need anyone, you don't need managers or someone to do the supervision or something like that. So you don't need boss, and the agile won't promote bossing kind of thing. That's why it's very good in terms of when the execution or principle thing happens. So definitely uh, these things are not Scrum Master. Rather, if you want to look what are the qualities of Scrum Master or the preferred stances from for Scrum Master is he's impediment remover, which means if there is any blocker, if you are blocked due to anything technical, non-technical, many times dependency on some third person or third party or external vendor, anything like that, access issue, this and that, in my productivity, in completing my work, if I am having any issue, then and there raise the flag. And that is why we'll be seeing in the stand up on daily basis, the Scrum Master will closely see just one thing, that is when you say three things: what I did yesterday, what I am planning to do today, and any impediment or blocker. So explicitly we have to say no blocker, no impediment. And if you say okay, I am having something, so the Scrum Master is going to make a note of it, and then he will be helping to remove it. So if he is technically good, he can do a technical contribution and do it. If he is not able to, he himself is not able to resolve, he will redirect, guide to the right person, right place, and is going to resolve that particular blocker. Again, so Scrum Master is a facilitator who will facilitate. Scrum Master is a coach. He will coach, groom the Scrum team. He is kind of a teacher. He is a servant leader. He is not a master. This term is very important. He is a servant leader. This manager terminology which is coming, he is not a project manager. He himself is managing his own uh, Scrum. And then he's a change agent. When we say change agent, if there is any process, procedure, or something which has to be changed, he's a change agent. And more emphasis is on the mentor. He's mentor. So very less portion, 1% or something, you can think that he's when we say manager, he's coordinating the Scrum calls. He's managing those calls. In that aspect, he is manager. He's not manager of any individual reportee reporting to him. Not that kind of a typical manager kind of a person, but a Scrum call, red rows, and maybe he will facilitate the sprint planning, backlog grooming, and all those things. And again, he's a change agent in this sense. If there is anything which needs to be changed from process perspective, or upgrading of the something, or shifting from one tool to another things, then the Scrum Master is going to help. And then he's mentor, coach, and teacher, so that he will guide us through the Scrum principles, manifesto, core values, and how to run and execute. So Scrum Master will be ideally knowing everything in and out of the Scrum, and then dev team member he can coach, and not only dev team member, sometimes to the product owner also he is going to coach and mentor. So that's all about the Scrum Master. Maybe we'll just take this one more slides. There are many things which will repeat, like uh, in true sense, he is a leader. So there is a difference between leader and manager. Can someone tell me what's main difference between leader and manager? Is leader manager same, or they are different? What is your assumption, understanding at this moment?
Normally, well, I believe that a manager has to have at least some leadership skills.
Correct. Manager should have some leadership skill. But is there any difference between leader and manager? No difference. Okay, when we say manager, typically the figure of project manager comes in our mind. And when we say project manager, he will be focusing on what? He will be focusing on the project initiation, he will be focusing on the project planning, project execution, monitoring, control, and closure. He wants things to be done at any cost, anyway. You don't want to miss the deadline. That is the manager. So manager is more focused on the result. But leaders will be more focused on people, because people are our asset. So managers will instruct, command, and say, okay, do this, do this, do this. This has to be done. Leader walks with you like a coach, like a mentor, and helps you to develop yourself, groom yourself. So that is one of the difference which I can say, and rest of the things I will leave it to you. So he is not a manager, and he cannot take any decision on behalf of product owner or dev team. Very, very important. So if someone thinks, okay, I am manager, I can do everything. But no, if you are manager, go outside. You have no role playing in the Scrum. Okay, so we are. I will cover just these two bullet points, and then we'll pause here as we are having the last 5 minutes. So we'll focus on people development, than on getting the result. So people development is a core focus for a Scrum Master, and he's a process owner and responsible for implementing Scrum values. So values are very important to be implemented. So he is kind of a process owner. So I will stop here only. Last 3-4 minutes. If you have any queries on the slides which we shared today, feel free to ask. If not, then quickly within a minute, I am going to recap. So we have seen 12 agile principles, that is early delivery of the product, adapt to change, frequent delivery, business and developers cooperation, motivated individuals, face-to-face interaction, working software, maintaining a constant pace, technical brilliance, simplicity, self-organizing team, and regular reflection and adjustment. So these are were the 12 principles, and we have seen in the Scrum role, broadly we are having 3 roles: developer, Scrum Master, and product owner. So for developer, we have seen that, okay, they are self-organizing, cross-functional, they are sole responsible for quality and design of the project. They will be ideally located. When I say ideally, which means that there can be some deviation, and they should be fully allocated to single project. Team size should be in between 3 to 9, and they are the one who owns and manages the sprint backlog, and they will participate in every Scrum events, and uh, they will give input in the product backlog estimation, and going to help product owner for product backlog refinement. And product backlog refinement is very interesting. We'll see in detail. And the misconception which we see for a Scrum Master is he is neither police nor hero or scribe, security, clerk, chairman, admin, team boss. No, no. But something is kind of an impediment remover, facilitator, coach, teacher, servant leader. This term is very important. He is to serve, and then chain agent and mentor. So that's what we covered today, and then tomorrow again we'll be meeting and we'll be covering some more things. We'll be seeing tomorrow about the product owner and the product backlog refinement, some of the matrices which we are going to see, and how the entire agile scrum looks in the agile. Okay, thank you. If no further queries, we'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.